Now, I hope you enjoyed our class on macronutrients. And I hope that by now you remember the three major food groups that are the ones that are within the class of macronutrients. There's the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates, and of course we also mentioned water. When we talk about fiber, it's still within the carbohydrates because it's insoluble fiber. We have insoluble and soluble fiber, and we also mentioned the sources of the same and other foods. So today we want to look at micronutrients. And micro, remember we say that means small. Micro is small, so that those that are nutrients that are required in the body in smaller amounts. So in this chapter, as an introduction, basically this chapter will help you identify major micronutrients and associated deficiency diseases as per the micronutrients. And we are going to review the major micronutrients and also associated deficiency diseases, sorry. So as an objective of this lesson today, basically by the end of it, you should be able to explain major micronutrients and also be able to describe the different deficiency diseases that occur as per the different micronutrients. So to begin with, let's define a micronutrient, of which these are just nutrients required only in minuscule amounts, like very small amounts, because they enable the body to produce enzymes, hormones, and other substances essential for proper growth and development. And as tiny as the amounts are, however, the consequences of their absence are severe. So there's a saying that says that we normally joke like, usione paka simba amenyesha ukafikiria ni ukadhani ni paka, ukafikiria ni paka ama ukadhani ni paka. So like you should not see something with the value of your eyes and discredit it or assume that it's of no value or it's like that. So like even with nutrients, we're saying that we need them in very small amounts, but the moment they miss in the body, the consequences are very severe, and we shall explore that as per every nutrient that we shall look at. So iodine, vitamin A, and iron are most important in global public health terms, and their lack presents a major threat to the health and development of populations the world over, particularly children and pregnant women in low-income countries. Remember, Kenya is still among those countries of low-income status, that is the developing countries. So we are saying that majorly we have three micronutrients that stand out. That is iodine, vitamin A, and iron. They stand out as among the many micronutrients that we have. Of course, we do have calcium, we have phosphorus, we do have zinc, yeah, we have selenium, we have sodium, we have chloride. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to say is that these three usually stand out. They're always of public health concern, and that is why you'll find that we usually have vitamin A supplementation for children below the age of 5 years. Also, pregnant women are not supplemented with that, but they're given what? The IFAS, the iron and folic acid supplements, to help boost their immunity. And also, we do have the iodine, which we emphasize it is not a supplement, but to emphasize that we use iodized salts. So basically, vitamin A is for children under the age of 5 years and also for breastfeeding mothers after delivery. So vitamin A deficiency, commonly called as VAD, is the leading cause of preventable blindness in children and increases the risk of disease and death from severe infection. So we find that, as we've said, at the moment you miss out on this micronutrient, it seems so small and we can assume it, but we see we are saying that it can bring about blindness that can be prevented in children. It also can increase the risk of death from severe infections. Now, in pregnant women, bad causes like blindness may increase the risk of maternal mortality. Can you imagine? It is that serious that once a woman is pregnant and is not getting sufficient of vitamin A for the diet, this can lead to night blindness. At night, she may fail to see things properly, and then she may also be able to die. the maternal tickles of this. Okay, so basically you find that vitamin A is just available. Supplying adequate vitamin A in high-risk areas can significantly reduce mortality. Conversely, its substance causes a needlessly high risk of disease and death. So remember, all these are preventable. If you're able to supplement where necessary, better. So for children, lack of vitamin A causes severe visual impairment and blindness, and significantly increases the risk of severe illness and death from such common childhood infections, diarrheal diseases, and also measles. Remember, we do right now immunize children against measles and also diarrhea. We do have the vaccine, but that is just a mode of trying to prevent these illnesses from children. But other than that, we are supposed to ensure that we provide sufficient vitamin A to these children. It could be at the point when they're eating and they start feeding at 6 months. We ensure that the diets are rich in vitamin A, and we also ensure that us ourselves we're able to consume, women who are nursing the babies and those pregnant, so that they get sufficient vitamin A from the diet. For pregnant women in high risk areas, vitamin A deficiency, especially during pregnancy, when demand by and the mother is highest. The mother deficiency is induced by the prevalence of pregnancy during this period. So awareness is supposed to on the enough supplies of vitamin A. But of course, for the sources of vitamin A, we should explore on that, but basically it's there from green leaf vegetables. We get that from animal sources like you know, or the mix. But basically, we also get from the carrots, that is orange colored, the red yellow colored fruits. So when you're able to consume a basic, then we should be able to cover this deficiency. What about iron deficiency? Now, when we talk about deficiency, I think already mind that you're talking about anemia, is it? I do hope so. So, iron deficiency is the most common and widespread nutritional disorder in the world, entire world. Malaria, hookworm infestation, schistosomiasis, and other infections such as tuberculosis are particularly important factors contributing to the high prevalence of anemia in some areas. So we find that in Kenya we do have endemic. So endemicity just means that the disease is present in a given region in amounts that are acceptable. As it is that for example, you'll find that in Kenya, the region and the western region of Kenya has a high rate of malaria. There are malaria endemic zones, like malaria is quite common. So you'll find that when someone falls sick and presents with symptoms similar to malaria, they're likely to be treated of malaria first before that, as symptoms are focused on and treated. So again with hookworms, when we have a lot of worms, because malaria, what these diseases related to iron deficiency? Because like malaria, you find that the malaria parasites usually suck more of the blood. So as the parasitic they feel in the blood, they're likely to make someone become anemic. Same to HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS, and find that the virus drains the cells, and because this body is likely to be malnourished, is likely to end up with anemia. Hookworm infestations, again, hookworms are still group of parasites, and they're likely also to infest in the body and likely to feed on the nutrients that are important for blood formation and also destroy the blood itself. So I think that with such, they're likely to bring about anemia in some areas. So iron deficiency and anemia reduce the work capacity of individuals and populations, bringing serious economic consequences and obstacles to national development. So we are saying that if someone is anemic, that means that that person will be able to, because of the symptoms of anemia, is that the person is not able to function properly. You feel dizzy every other time. Probably you are unconscious. You have joint pains. You're just weak by yourself, and some people even suffer heart problems. As a result of the same. So with such, you'll find that their work capacity is reduced. So you'll find that someone is not able to work as he or she used to do before, until maybe the condition is treated. So with this, it brings serious economic consequences and obstacles to national development. Because if you find in a Ghanaian population, so many people of reproductive age are hospitalized, what happens to the economy of that given region? And it translates to the economy of the country. If the farmers then would have the farms farming, some of them may die out of this, because remember, when you miss out on enough blood, sufficient blood supplies in the body, likely to shock the heart, and one can easily die out of this. So mild iron deficiency anemia usually doesn't cause complications. But however, if it is left untreated, iron deficiency anemia can come and lead to health problems, including the following. One of them is the heart diseases. So iron deficiency anemia can lead maybe to a rapid or regular heartbeat. The heart must pump more blood to compensate the lack of oxygen carried in your blood when you are anemic. And this can lead to enlarged heart or heart failure. So we're saying that when we have anemia or iron deficiency anemia, we like to people who have heart problems, and it will lead to rapid regular heartbeat. And how can heartbeat be measured? Usually, when you go to hospital, usually nurses should take the blood pressure from you, and as they check the blood pressure, usually they check the pulse. So with the pulse, it will be able to be showing your heartbeat, how okay it is, or how regular it is, and from there you should be able to advise, or the doctor will be able to advise. Yeah, okay. It can also bring, apart from the heart problems, the EDA can bring about problems during pregnancy. In pregnant women, severe iron deficiency anemia has been linked to premature births and also low birth weight babies. But the condition is preventable in pregnant women who receive iron supplements as part of their prenatal care. So that is why it's important for you to go to this public health nutrition, so that you can be able to drum support to other women out there. You're able to support to educate the public, educate the communities, educate your people about the importance of consumption of iron-rich diets, so that at the end of the day, if women are pregnant, they'll not give birth to low birth weight babies. What is the normal birth weight for children, for the babies, for the infants? You know? All right, your guess is right. Mine is 2.5 kgs or 2,500 grams. A premature or a premature baby is one that has been born before time. Remember, children should be born at 40 weeks gestation, but usually give a plus of 2 weeks or minus of 2 weeks. So there are those women who are up to 42 weeks. Others can deliver from 38 weeks. So anywhere from 38 weeks, the baby can be delivered. But you find those who are delivered at maybe 36, 35, 34 weeks. So that is a premature. So yes, that if a woman who is pregnant has not taken in sufficient amounts of iron, then she is likely to give birth to a low birth weight baby, or otherwise premature birth, sorry. And we're saying that can be preventable. During prenatal care, women should be supplied with the IFAS. But again, there has to be follow-up. Maybe this should be part of your study when you'll be doing your project, and try to ask questions to women and even the service providers. Is there really poor consumption of the IFAS, or do they just pick them and put them in their houses? So the women will be like, those medicines are yuck, the way they smell, that is nauseating and such like. So you need to find out if they really want, because there are those who just get the medication and keep them in their houses. Probably they don't know the consequences at the end of the day. Then you have growth problems. So in infants and children, severe iron deficiency can lead to anemia as well as delayed growth and development. Additionally, iron deficiency anemia is associated with an increased susceptibility to infection. So with children who are growing, infants and children, if they're not getting sufficient amounts of iron, then they're likely to be iron deficient, and it can lead to anemia as well as delayed growth and development. They delay within their milestones. At the time of crawling, they may not crawl well. At the time of walking, they may not walk. At the time of developing speech, they may not be able to coordinate properly both the motor and the functional. Additionally, we are saying that iron deficiency data is associated with an increased susceptibility to infection. Susceptibility, just vulnerability, like it makes one to be at high risk of becoming or rather having infections, especially amongst children. So we've looked at VAD and we've looked at IDA. We want to look at iron deficiency. And when we talk about iodine deficiency, and this is the lack of trace element iron, and it may result in goiter as well as cretinism, which results in developmental delays and other health problems. So here prevention includes by adding small amounts of iodine to table salt, a product known as iodine salt. Iodine compounds have also been added to other foodstuffs such as flour, water, and milk in areas of deficiency. Seafood is also a well-known source of iodine. Now, we are talking about goiter. And, usually, goiter is as a result of iodine deficiency. But again, for women or human beings, people who take a lot of iodine, they're likely to suffer from goiter. So when you talk about goiter, we are saying that a low amount of thyroxine is usually present within the thyroid glands, the hormones, one of the two thyroid hormones in the throat area, yeah, in the blood, due to lack of dietary iodine to make it, gives rise to high levels of thyroid stimulating hormone, that is TSH, which stimulates the thyroid gland to increase many biochemical processes, and the cellular growth and proliferation can result in the characteristic swelling or hyperplasia of the thyroid gland. The goiter is said to be endemic when the prevalence of in a population is greater than 5%, and in most cases, goiter can be treated with iodine supplementation. If goiter is untreated for around 5 years, however, iodine supplementation or thyroxine treatment may not reduce the size of the thyroid gland because the thyroid is permanently damaged. So we are saying that it's always important to take iodized salt. Now look here. There are some local markets in some villages in our country. You'll find that there are people who still sell salt. I don't know if you've seen that. Salt that is exposed. Vile unaenda kununua unapata kuna majani imepimwa kwa to the containers pale, you know, the way they sell to you the cereals in containers. There's some markets where you find that the salt have been placed in small containers and being sold to the people. Yes, it may be affordable, it may be cheap. But remember, iodine is evaporates when it comes into contact with oxygen. So if this salt has been exposed from morning to evening, and this vendor has been comfortably selling this salt, and you go by the time you utilize it, do you think you have iodine? No, definitely. So every time you need to ensure that you buy iodized salt, one that has written on the sachet on the packet, iodized salts like the Ken salt, we have K salt, and I think other sea salt. We have them in the market, but salt is the most common, and yeah, it's the most common, and K salt. So it's important that we consume adequate amounts so that you don't develop goiter over time. All right. I want to mention cretinism as a result of iodine deficiency. And iodine deficiency is one of the leading causes of preventable mental handicaps. So that tells us that with cretinism, it's basically a mental disorder that results from iodine deficiency. So if a woman doesn't take enough of it while pregnant and even while nursing the young newborn baby, then whatever will result at the end of the day could be either goiter or cretinism. With cretinism, in amnesia, that this person may not be able to think well, the mental system, mental coordination, the motor may not be well developed. So iodine deficiency is one of the leading causes of preventable mental handicaps worldwide, producing typical reductions in IQ of 10 to 15 IQ points. It has been speculated that deficiency of iodine and other micronutrients may be possible factor in observed differences in IQ between ethnic groups. So cretinism is a condition associated with iodine deficiency, only characterized by mental deficiency. That is deaf, mutism, squint, disorders of stance and gulf, stunted growth, and also hypothyroidism. So before we meet in the next class, kindly get through these terms, Google them, find out information about them. What do they really mean? What does squint stand for? This the distress of the stance, and gait, and also stunted growth and hypothyroidism. What do they really mean? So in short, we are saying that every time you eat food, let it be with sufficient salt, not too much, not too little, just sufficient. And it has to be what? It has to be iodized salt. Now, this iodized salt, you're saying that you're going to get it from the supermarket or the shop. Buy while it is sealed, okay? So that you ensure that the iodine is preserved. Once you have it in the house, ensure that again it's within closed or sealed containers, so that again you don't miss out on the iodine because you have exposed the salt to the air. Again, remember that other than the deficiencies we're talking about, there are other effects that could come with excessive uses of the same. I've already mentioned that iodine, when you use excesses, you're likely to result with beta again. Another thing is that when you use raw salt, like the way we love the high-fat sugar salt diets, so as you use the raw salt on your nyama choma, as you used to raw salt on your fish, fried fish, as you nyunyizie your salt on the chips and the bajia and the smokies, you're eating raw salt, and consistent use of such amounts of salt is likely to bring about hypertension. Are we together? So it's important to prevent all these. Some of these, that's why we call them lifestyle conditions, especially the NCs, the non-communicable diseases like hypertension. The diseases that we can prevent, the conditions that we can prevent. And we're also saying that all these iodine deficiency, iron deficiency, iodine deficiency, and blood are all prevented. The deficiencies are all prevented if you're able to take these nutrients in sufficient amounts. Okay. In this lesson, we've also focused on the iron deficiency. And basically, we say that it's important for women to consume, okay, for all populations, but of course, women, the pregnant women, and also young children, so that they don't miss out on the supplies and just preventing infections. We're saying that with iron deficiency, we're supposed to consume the iron-rich diets, and mostly they'll come from leafy vegetables, especially the traditional ones, and they're also going to come from the proteins. Usually, many proteins will supply us with sufficient amounts of iron. And we'll talk about proteins, we'll talk about plant proteins and the animal proteins. So every time you consume a protein, especially the plant protein, ensure that you fill it with a rich fruit. Why is this important? So that you'll be able to enhance the absorption of the iron. Remember, iron that is in this, especially plant proteins, is unavailable to the body, but vitamin C will help activate the system. What are the vitamin C fruits? We have the citrus fruits, that is the oranges. We have the sandana, that is tangerine. We do have the pineapples. We have the passions. Yeah. And those ones are key for our use. You can also get your iron from the raisins, that is dried fruits. You can get your vitamin C from also, basically those ones are should be able to give you sufficient amount of vitamin C. So again with iron, kuna wale watu wenye wanapenda kukunywa chai wakisindikiza na githeri, ama wanasindikiza githeri na chai or maharagwe or any meal. They consume, whether it's ugali sukuma, they consume with tea or something close to a caffeinated beverage. But is it advisable? Is it acceptable? Of course, no. It's not acceptable at all. There's some time back, a few months ago, I went to another hotel somewhere, and I was feeling hungry, and I ordered for, I think I was taking mokimo something, some nutritious food, I would say. Then another person came and we were on the same table. I noticed that this also ordered for matumbo, sukuma, ugali. Then next, the person ordered milk tea, and he took all this together. I wondered, how can matumbo and milk tea? No, surely how? But now depending on our cultures, some people are wired differently. But again, okay, leave alone the mixing. It's in order to take tea with food. No. So you need to desist from that as an individual, and also that tea should be taken 30 minutes or 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after a meal. Okay, 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after a meal. Why is that? Tea has anti-nutrients. Those are substances that inhibit absorption of nutrients. Anti-nutrients present in the tea are called tannins. Okay, and these tannins inhibit the absorption of iron and calcium. You'll find especially women are the ones who become iron deficient, likely to suffer from iron deficiency and anemia, as you've seen. So what will be maybe the likely cause? Maybe that the kind of people who take tea with everything around them, they take a lot of tea in the day. So that every time they consume an iron-rich food, all those nutrients are bound by the tannins that are coming from the tea or the coffee or the chocolate, because all beverages have caffeine except. So yeah, are we together? I do hope so. So that will tell you that it's important that women and the entire population take note of that. That every time you consume our food, always avoid tea. You're supposed actually to take just about 2 to 3 cups. The standard cup is about 250 ml. About 2 to 3 cups in a day. It's sufficient, so that you don't keep eating other nutrients from being absorbed and utilized in the body. Remember, a pregnant woman or a lactating mother or that young growing child needs a lot of calcium. So don't you keep giving those young children. Some of them, a child, the child is hungry, instead of giving a nutritious food, porridge as a snack, you find another offering chai. And the baby, once the child gets addicted or used to that, they would always want chai. So you'll find them, wanaitisha tu, give chai, and they stay with the chai all through the day, which is not good for the boys. So I'm summing up, like we've talked about iron deficiency, and I'm trying to explain how we can ensure that we get the best out of that, the foods that are rich in iron. We've talked about iodine, and now I want to talk about vitamin A. Of course, vitamin A is amongst the fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins are usually the ADEC, vitamin A, D, E, and K. What will that mean? Usually they are absorbed better in the body when they're incorporated in fat. So that will tell you it's better to steam or fry the carrot rather than taking it raw. But again, if you take it raw, it will work, but the vitamin E it's a bit rushy when it's unavailable. It's unavailable in the body. The body cannot really use it because it's being mixed. So when we look at fat, we say that it helps in the addition of other nutrients, and one of them is vitamin A. So it's always important that you allow your vitamins A to be cooked within the foods, and ensure you take it when it is ripe. So if I eat ripe mango and you eat a raw one, who has gotten vitamin A? Do the mangoes, whether ripe or raw, vitamin A? What do you think? I would say that only ripe mangoes will give you vitamin A. Only ripe purples will give you vitamin A. The orange colored, the red colored, the yellow colored, yeah, will ripen when they have vitamin A that is available to the body. But raw mango will be enjoyable to the mouth, but it doesn't have vitamin A. It will give you roughage, but it doesn't have vitamin A. That tells you that we need to have a variety in the mangoes. We need to do maybe a bit of the zambarau. It is purple in color, mostly those colored fruits, but with the exception of like oranges. Orange may be orange in color, they seem yellowish, but for them they are richer with vitamin C compared to vitamin that's why it's always good to advise. It's advisable that in a day, do you do at least two different potassium, whereas the vitamins and antioxidant, how they listen on with vitamin that we take in rightful amount. We don't overdo it, so that again we don't bring about toxicity in the body. So we just ensure that those that can be cooked, if it is vegetables, the green leafy vegetables, we cook them but on low heat, at least just about 5 minutes. So I want to hope all is well, and we shall be able to learn more as we continue with the unit. That was about the micronutrients. I don't know if you have any question in line with that. In case you have any, let me engage with you during our class and bring out the questions, and we shall be able to interact more on the same. So I look forward to seeing you then. All the best.